Hey everyone, today we have Iris Shen-Van Buren from Michigan State University with us, and we will let Iris take it away with some information about Michigan State.
Hi, my name is Iris Shen-Van Buren. I work for MSU, and I'm actually the manager of recruitment for Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. So if you have students from those states, I'll be happy to talk to them. I can talk to actually students from any state. I actually worked in state at one point as well. So if you have questions, feel free to use me as your resource. If I need to contact anyone else, I can get you connected to my colleagues on campus as well. So absolutely. Happy to do that. I'm actually an MSU alum, so I do know a lot of things about Michigan State, and I can talk to your students about the ability to be on campus and the different resources we do have, because I have seen it both inside and on the outside. So Michigan State University, we are a Big Ten campus. We are the pioneer land-grant institution in the nation, which means we're accessible to our students. We have students from every county in the state of Michigan, all 50 states, and over 120 different places around the world. So definitely when you come to campus, it's a global community. If you have not seen campus before, this little picture on the bottom side is kind of an overview of campus. And after I finish with this slide, I will be putting up a video that will kind of show you a little bit about campus as I talk about campus. We are located in East Lansing, Michigan. So if you're not from the state of Michigan, folks in Michigan tend to use our hands as our map. So we've got our Michigan map. This is the Lower Peninsula. This is the Upper Peninsula. MSU is located right about in the center of the state. We are next to the state capital of Lansing. So if your student is really interested in politics and law, they can have really great access there. We're about an hour and a half from the Detroit Metro Airport. There is a smaller Lansing airport. We have access via bus. So we have Greyhound bus. We also have Amtrak. So there's lots of ways to get to campus. So in terms of what kinds of things students can study, we have over 200 different kinds of things of study. We also have about 100 different majors on our campus with 17 degree granting colleges. Of those 17, we have 5 that are professional colleges. So we're the only school in the nation with 3 medical schools. We have a DO program, an MD program, and vet med. We also have a College of Law and a College of Nursing. So students have a lot of different options there. We may be a big campus, but we still have decent sizes in terms of class sizes. Most of our class sizes are less than 50 students. We have a 16:1 student to faculty ratio, which is pretty good considering the size of our university. But most of those classes are 50 students or less. They're mostly taught by professors. If you are in a large lecture class, you have the option where, let's say your class is Monday in large lecture, but maybe Tuesday and Thursday, they break it down in smaller sections called recitation, where you go with maybe 30 to 50 students, depending on your class that you're in. So it really does help with that. Big university kind of keeps it so that you can get smaller learning access as well. Following graduation, about this stat here says 93%. We actually have gone up to 95% job placement rate. And most of our students do go on to either going for a job or they may go on to grad school, the majority of our students. So, and then of course, we're a Big Ten institution. We have alumni all around the world. And I think the stat has actually risen since they put the slide together, but about 500,000 alumni around the world. So I'm going to actually post the next slide is actually a video. Okay, I'll continue to talk over the slide. So right now we don't have any visits on campus due to the pandemic. However, this video will give you kind of a little bit of an overview of what it looks like on our campus when we have students there. So we have lots of students. It's really beautiful, 5,200 acres. It's about a mile wide. Unlike some other universities, our campus, when you're there, it's all campus. You're not mixed in with the city. It's like a suburban area. North of campus is the city of East Lansing, and it's definitely a college town. So depending on what time of year the college town, it swells up, and basically the campus is like a small city of students, about 50,000 students. As you can see, there's a lot of things to do on our campus as well, and I'll talk about that in a future slide. But three of the things I wanted to talk to you about is some of our living learning communities. So we have three residential colleges. We have the Lyman Briggs College, which is math, science, computer science, pre-med, pre-vet, that kind of thing. The James Madison College, which is International Social Relations, Public Policy and Law, and the Residential College of Arts and Humanities, which is Fine and Performing Arts, Literature, Languages, Cultures, Civic Engagement. Those three residential colleges are first come, first served. There are no additional requirements, but they put you in a learning community where you live with your fellow students, your professors' offices, and your classrooms are in the same place. There's also living learning communities for College of Business, and the residential business community does allow you to get a direct admit into the College of Business, so you do have to apply, and the College of Engineering, which automatically puts you with other engineers your freshman year. And basically that community will help with finding other study groups, and also with your classes and group projects and things like that. And move on to the next slide. So the other, and I'm going to finish off a little bit about the other things. There's also residential living learning community for students who are interested in environmental sciences, and they have their own hoop house next to it, and it's called RISE. And then some multicultural living learning communities as well. So students who might be interested in our honors college, on a typical year, we do look at grades and test scores. This being kind of unusual and the pandemic, we are test optional this year, so they will not use test scores with the Honors College. However, if you're close to the Honors College range, you might consider actually applying test optional, because it might be more beneficial for you in the review. So normally in our Honors College, students are in the top 5% of their graduating class. They have a 32 ACT, a 1440 SAT, that's the average. However, with the test optional, if you don't send in your tests, we're going to look at it more holistically. You'll want to talk about how you've made impact in the community, or maybe doing research, or those kinds of things in your extracurriculars. You'll want to talk about, you as a student, and if you are taking things like AP and IB or dual enrolled or college credit plus classes, those also show that you have a stricter curriculum, that you are actually doing more outside of just getting straight A's with a regular curriculum. So we do look for that for our honors college. And generally students will hear within 8 weeks, once they've gotten the admissions decision, if they are invited to honors college. If you don't fall into that invitation coming in as a freshman, they will allow students to send additional information up until March 1st, or you can wait until you're on campus after your first semester. If you are in the top 10% of your college at that point in time, they'll reconsider you for honors college. So some of the perks are that honors college students, they get to register for classes with priority registration. So as a freshman, let's say you're looking at a class that might be a sophomore level class. Well, you get priority over a sophomore that's not in the honors college to get into that class. And we also have, for our honors college students, the opportunity to do academic research in more accessible. And if you're, we're going to look again at your overall program and your curriculum and those kinds of things. If you do have test scores, we'll look at that. Usually that's the PSAT that they use to consider for academic research and those kinds of things, but your grades and test scores and everything. So if you haven't been involved and you really want to do it, I always say reach out to the honors college, kind of get on their radar too. But you want to do apply early by November 1st. Honors college students also have flexibility in their curriculum. So for a student coming into the honors college, you can start to take classes in the upper levels instead of taking those typical freshman, sophomore, and integrated studies or general studies classes. So your general education type classes, you can just throw them by the wayside, put in some upper level classes in things that you're interested in, which makes it easier for honors college to do like a major minor, a double major, Occasionally we'll get triple majors, and very occasionally we'll get students doing a master's and bachelor's simultaneously. So there is a lot of value. Plus, additionally, there are scholarship opportunities there too. So outside of the classroom, MSU is known for our entrepreneurship. We're in the top 25 for entrepreneurship. We have something called the Hatch. It's available to any student who wants to start their own business. So you don't have to be a business major to use the Hatch. When you go to the Hatch, they have folks that can help you, mentor you, and kind of get that business started. They can use the Hatch as a PO box for their business, so they're not running their business out of their dorm room. And they also can apply for additional funding. So kind of like a smaller version of the Shark Tank. But we have had students go out and start their businesses and be quite successful. So this is a really great opportunity for any student. And they also have undergraduate research, again, for any student. Unlike other schools, we have some opportunities available starting in your freshman year. So as a student coming in, if you want to do academic research, you can go onto our web page, urca.msu.edu. That's undergraduate research and creative activities, and you can see what's available. If you don't see what you're interested in, if you connect with a professor, you can also do it that way as well. So we really press that for our students, and they can get that access if you are coming in, like I said, through Honors College. That access could be as soon as your first week on campus. So you don't have to wait till your junior year to get access to academic research. Education abroad, we have programs all over the world on all 7 continents, including Antarctica, which I like to say is the coolest place to study. But also for all of our out-of-state students, they come in with a presidential study abroad scholarship. So if you're a domestic out-of-state student, you come in with a presidential study abroad scholarship that is either $3,000 or $5,000 depending on the length of the program. Generally, I think it's 2 months or less, you'll get the $3,000. If it's a semester or more, you'll get the $5,000. That can start as early as your freshman seminar, which happens usually between senior year of high school and freshman year at MSU. So we do encourage that. And about a quarter of our students do that. And I tell out-of-state students, you know what? Don't leave that money on the table. Use that. I mean, you could start off your academic career, or maybe you do it your last year in college to kind of finish it off as your last hurrah. So we definitely encourage students to do that. We have 900 student organizations. That includes fraternities and sororities. We have the Divine Nine, multicultural organizations. We have the ability for students to do academic clubs and organizations. Religious, if you're religious, there's all different kinds of groups there. If you like the arts, we have the Wharton Center and a lot of different like theater and music groups and things like that. If you're interested in student government, campus and hall government are available. And if you just want to, you like to watch or play sports, we have intramural club sports and Division I sports. So as a student, you can definitely get involved. And in fact, I encourage it because if you're wanting to come to a big campus, that's the best way to start feeling that community and start to feel like you're at a place that is your home. So in terms of financing your education, MSU currently has flat rate tuition. So that means that you pay for 15 credits and you can take 12 to 18 credits. So what that means is that if you stay at the 15 credit level per semester, then you will graduate or should graduate in 4 years, unless you've changed your major a couple of times. Or if you wanted to add maybe a minor, those extra 3 credits can be, help you add a minor or a double major or something like that. So basically, as a student, that adds value to your education. So I don't recommend students taking 18 credits their first semester. Maybe 12 to 15 is good, but you can add that as you go along. You could even possibly graduate early if that's something that you would like to do. Most of our students receive financial aid. Our students from Ohio and Pennsylvania also have something called the SPARTAN grant. So the SPARTAN grant does give you an extra $10,000 grant money per year for 4 years. So that's a $40,000 SPARTAN grant. If you are in the higher ranges of grades and test scores, or just grades or whatever, you're at the higher end of our regular scholarship chart, then you will actually get more than that $10,000 scholarship money. So when you're looking at our page in terms of scholarships, you'll see a little scholarship grid that does not apply to the students from Ohio. However, they can look at the top ends of those grids where it's 10,000 and 15,000. The Ohio Spartan grant students will get an additional bit of money over that. These are also stackable with our honors college and with our other scholarships, so it does not exclude them. I do recommend that students make sure, whether they think they will qualify for anything with financial aid, to turn in their FAFSA, that free application for federal student aid. Some of our scholarships, if you don't have the FAFSA, you can't be considered. So now when you look at this, it says all students are automatically considered for scholarships. However, the second line about submitting SAT and ACT scores, if you're doing test optional, you don't need to worry about it. We will still consider you for scholarships. If you choose to send in ACT or SAT scores, then we will also look at those. You will have until February to send in your latest score. Just keep in mind that whichever way you go, sometimes it actually might be better for you not to submit those ACT and SAT scores, so we can look at you more holistically. The scholarships will be awarded through March, and I tell students, if you have any questions, contact your admissions counselor or contact me to find out more, because maybe we will see some other scholarships that you can't see if you have questions regarding scholarships. And we always do recommend to go outside of the university to do additional scholarship opportunities. More scholarships will come into play once you are on campus and have an on-campus GPA. So I talked about the Ohio Spartan grant. That's the $10,000 per year for the 4 years. That's about 1/4 off the cost of tuition, about 1/5 off the total cost. So what do you need to come to MSU? We do want to see your initial transcripts, 9th, 10th, and 11th grade from all institutions that you have attended. If you are taking, and we strongly encourage AP, IB, honors, or dual enrolled classes, if you're taking those, make sure that when you are setting up your senior schedule and you're writing that down, that you let us know that those are those kinds of classes. We definitely want you to do well in those, so getting A's and B's is critical. Dual enrollment classes do not transfer over if they have less than a 2.0. You do not need to send the AP exams or dual enrollment transcripts until after you've been admitted and before you go in for summer orientation for the new student orientation. In terms of other supporting information, we do require an essay. You can just write about the essay. I tell students, if you get a little intimidated, grab your cell phone, your best friend, your favorite teacher, your favorite counselor, your parent, have them ask you the question, talk to them. Okay, I want to hear your voice. I do tell students, caution against using that thesaurus too much. I don't want a word salad. I want to hear about you. I want to hear about you and how you as a student are going to fit on our campus. Okay, and we can sniff out those letters that are written or essays that are written by other people. So yeah, take the time with that and expand on it, especially if you're going test optional. If you put that essay and have your best friend read it to you and it describes them, that might be a little too generic. So make sure you're really taking that time and giving us your all. We also, have our additional, like I said, the extracurricular things. Don't just give us a list. Tell us how you're doing. What are you doing? Are you benefiting your community? Are you benefiting others? Are you doing academic research? What are you doing other than just a list of things that you're participated? If you're in a leadership role, those are important things. We do not require letters of recommendation. Very rarely will a student ever go to someone that doesn't like them. So we get a lot of letters that say, this student is a good student, they're pleasant and great to have in class. That doesn't add a ton of value. So unless it's something that's really above and beyond what's in your application already, then I would not send in any letters of recommendation unless we ask for them, okay? And there are 3 ways to apply. You can use the MSU app, Common App, or Coalition app. We don't care which one you use. A lot of you probably using the Common app because you might be applying to multiple schools. The MSU application is probably the shortest of the 3, and we will get that more quickly, but you can use either. We don't care which one that you choose to use. This year we are test optional because of the coronavirus and the pandemic. Students have the option to not submit any kind of ACT or SAT scores. If they choose to submit ACT or SAT, then you do have to send in those scores to us, whether you're doing self-reported or whether you are sending the actual scores. We will not review your application until we receive the SATs or ACTs. We do not superscore. We do not average. We take the highest SAT or ACT at a single sitting. However, because we're test optional, you don't have to submit any of them. Okay, so if you are an international student, you are not required to take the ACT or SAT. You do need to meet the English requirements. Right now, we're temporarily taking the Duolingo English test for our international students. If you want to, there is a space where you can put in your application how things have maybe disrupted or impacted your grades or how you're doing, or maybe in spite of it, you're doing super well. That's a really good place to talk about those things, again, for that holistic review. So in terms of the timeline, for early action, we want to get that application in to us by November 1st. This is for maximum scholarship consideration, especially if you're in that top end honors college range. Honors College has a program called the Alumni Distinguished Scholarship Program, where they have students take a test that helps them to get even more scholarship money. Students who are applying after November 1st, we might not have enough space for you to go into that program. So make sure you try to apply early. I like to say Halloween is your deadline. You want a treat, not a trick. Apply by Halloween. Get that paperwork in. Be done with it. You don't have to think about it. And then hopefully in a few weeks later, you're going to get a letter saying, yes, you've been admitted. Actually, I think the letter usually says, congratulations, you're a Spartan. I still remember that from my undergrad days. So the early action students will hear back no later than January 15th. In general, we try to get those decisions to students usually by the holidays, but depending on how much information or how many students are ahead of you in that process, it may be a little bit earlier than January 15th. Regular admissions up from November 1st to February 1st, and then rolling after February 1st if we still have space at the university. Everything is non-binding. So even if you apply early action, we don't say, yes, you have to absolutely come to Michigan State. Of course, we want you here, but you have until May 1st to make that decision. I do recommend turning in that advanced enrollment deposit earlier than later, because the earlier you put it in, you will have more different dates that you can choose of for orientation, for taking your classes and those kinds of things. So it really is a little beneficial to send your advanced enrollment deposit in earlier. You do have until May 1st if you change your mind and can't come or aren't able to come. You can have that deposit refunded as well. So I have one final little video that I like to show, and as an alumni, it's really kind of warms my heart because a lot of the things in this video I have done as a student.
Michigan State is a place of possibilities and traditions, and the things you do here will change your life. So make your mark. Develop great taste. Support your teammates. And look up from your phone. Meet some interesting people. But remember why you're here. March to your own beat. And do something that scares you. Ask big questions. Reach higher. Go explore the world. And always remember, home isn't where you're from. It's where you belong.
Well, this is my final slide. If you have any questions, you are always welcome to contact me through my Calendly to set up an appointment. I do one-on-one meetings quite often. I'm actually going to be doing some meetings with the Ohio ACAC organization on October 26th. I have a meeting available, so if you have questions, you can come and check that out. And also, I'm also doing one through KYACAC through Kentucky as well. But there are many visit dates, so if you have a question, just email me. I'd be happy to talk to you about that and to answer your questions. So thank you very much, and have a Spartan day and go green.